Okay, finishing up this sequences section here, we're going to lastly look at like mortgage rates, interest rates, saving money, credit card balances, things like that. So in Algebra 2, college algebra, you guys did exponential growth, decay. You probably looked at some investment problems. If you put money at the bank, it gets 5% interest monthly, weekly, daily, continuously, and all that stuff. So these are things you will have. Car loans, house loans, student loans, that's in the news right now, whether or not the rate's going to double, and it'll be interesting to see what happens with that. So here's some equations, and here's what's happening with it. So you're going to borrow B dollars unless you have straight cash to pay for your house or your car, which very few people do. So you don't get the money for free. You got to borrow it at an interest rate, and it's compounded per year monthly. Okay, so you have an annual interest rate, but it's compounded monthly. The balance A sub n due after n monthly payments of P dollars is given by this recursive sequence. So here's what happens, and the next slide will explain what all of these things mean down here. Okay, so you borrow a bunch of money, or you put it on your credit card. So every month, the bank charges me interest on my mortgage, and then I make a $1,015 payment on it. Okay, next month comes around, they charge me interest on the remaining balance, then I make a $1,015 payment on it. Now, when I put that $1,015 down, I am not paying $1,000 off of my mortgage. I'm actually only paying somewhere around $200 or $300 right now. That other $700, $800 is all interest. And we'll look at some figures and make you realize what really happens with these. Okay, what do all these things mean? So recursive formulas, we said, always have to have two lines. So I know it's written as one line here, but you can see the comma. There's our two different formulas. We're going to use an A sub 0 here. That's the amount you're going to borrow. So you need $220,000 loan for a house. Okay, and the variables can really be, different textbooks will use different things, but they're going to be the same things. So this A sub n, how we define recursive things, is the balance due after n payments. So we could say, A sub 50. Well, that would be the balance due after 50 payments. Because it's recursive, we have to know the balance after 49 payments, and then 48, 47. So recursively, we're not going to be able to go, oh, what's going to be my balance in 2 years, 7 months? Okay, recursive won't let us do that. Now, A sub n equals 1 plus r over 12. You've seen that before from Algebra 2 and College Algebra. That's your discrete time frame interest formula. So we had a principal, 1 plus rate over n, where it happened n times a year. So if the n's a 12, that's why it gets subbed in there. You have to add the 1 or else it's not going to grow, or it has to be more than 100% there. The A sub n minus 1 is the previous balance due. Okay, so it depends on what you had the month before. So we said A sub, or anything sub n minus 1 means the previous term. So we're going to charge you interest on the previous month. So in June, you're going to get, if you're making a payment in June, they're going to charge you on all the money you owe at the end of May, and then you're going to subtract this p-value here, which is your periodic payment. Okay, so that's my $1,015 every month here. Okay, so they charge you interest on all the money you still owe. You subtract what you pay. Now, logically, the n has to be bigger than 1 because you can't, have negative months that you're making payments with these things. Okay, so there's our formulas. And here's how we're going to use them. So let's say you get excited, you get a credit card in college because you get a free t-shirt, you get a mini hoop for your dorm room, and it's free money. So we just start charging away, and you end up with $3,000 on your credit card. Now it says 12% interest per year. That's a fantastic rate. We'll just keep it for this problem, but For instance, my interest on my credit card is somewhere around like 23%, and I've never had late charges and always pay the full balance on time every month and have for 12 years now, and they actually raised my rate a year ago. So 12% is phenomenal. So whatever you don't pay, they're going to charge you 12% on it. Let's say you can only pay $100 a month. So when you get a credit card bill, you'll see here your charges, minimum payment due. So like for example, if I have $1,500 on my Visa, it'll be like minimum payment you owe us is $15. Okay, clearly, that's 1/100th of what I owe, but if I just pay that $15, they're going to charge me interest on that remaining, $1,400 or $85. Okay, so there's our situation. So we want to do these 6 things. Now we're going to use the calculator to help us out, but it requires, a special way to input these things. So first thing we need to do is get some equations. So the amount we borrowed or have on the credit card is $3,000. Okay. The amount we're going to owe in the nth month is 1 plus the rate, always make sure it's a decimal, over 12. Now this is going to be times a sub n minus 1, so whatever the previous month's balance was, and subtract the $100 payment that we're going to make. So let's say you wanted to, you're like, well, if I pay $100 a month, it should take me 30 months to pay off my credit card. Okay, but you're forgetting about the interest in there. Okay, there's our 2 equations. Obviously, we can simplify this in here and get a little decimal. But next, we're going to show you how to input these in your calculator. So what you're going to do, go to the mode button. We've been working in function a lot. Showed you guys parametric and polar. Go over to sequence now. Okay, when you hit enter for this, when you hit a y equals, all this stuff comes up. Okay, here's what you want to do. N minimum, set that guy to be a 0. Some calculators have a 1. As you can see down here, set that to be a 0. Okay, u of n is basically going to be our function. Okay, so that's exactly what we came up with on the last slide. Calculators aren't going to let us use a's like this. We're going to have to input it with u's. So close your parentheses there, start new parentheses. Now you need to get this symbol in there. Okay, u n minus 1. Calculator is not going to let us do the subscript, but we're trying to put that in there. We're trying to say previous term. So here's what you do. So the u is the shift and 7. Okay, so it's a little yellow one above the 7 there. Now we need another set of parentheses. And when you hit the X button, we don't get X's or T's or thetas anymore. We now get N's for terms. So we do a minus 1. We close that parenthesis. We close the whole parenthesis. And then we subtract our $100. Okay. UN min. So, what is the minimum amount here? Well, we borrowed 3,000, so that's what we have. Okay, so it's important you get it all set in. Have it in your notes. If you don't have your calculator at home, do this first thing when you get into class tomorrow. But if you're not able to get it in your calculator, it's going to be a lot of calculations. Okay, let's go back to our questions then. Find the balance after making the first payment. So this one way we could actually do by hand. We could calculate the interest on $3,000. And you divide it by 12 because you're not getting 12% each month. You're getting that 12% over the entire year. Okay, so $2,930, all right, would be the balance after the first month. Now you don't want to sit there and do this over and over and over again. So we could take this, we could multiply it by the interest and subtract 100. Okay, there's after the second month, and we could keep going and going and going. Calculator's going to do it for us here. Okay, so I just want to show you what this is actually doing. All right, part 2, we'll look at how we finish these guys up.